I will never be intimidated by America. I will never be intimidated by Donald Trump. They were speaking about me in that meeting at White House. If they were not gossiping about me, they should have called me into that meeting. I would have answered everything that Donald Trump wanted from us. If they are not scared of me, call me into that meeting. That nonsense that Trump did in America, he will never do that nonsense in my presence, because I will confront him here and there with the facts. Ramaphosa could not present the facts in front of Donald Trump. You've got a coward president.
Hello guys, welcome once again to AfriPost. I hope wherever you are, you're having a great time. Now, Julius Malema has responded to both President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa and President Donald Trump. You know, last week, President Donald Trump hosted Cyril Ramaphosa at the White House, and the meeting had a lot of tension in it because President Trump was adamant that South Africa is committing genocide against whites in South Africa, and that he could not tolerate. On the other hand, President Cyril Ramaphosa came with evidence trying to say that for him, whatever Donald Trump is talking about is not what is happening in South Africa. He talked about it, and when Donald Trump came and said, I want to show you something here, he played a video of Julius Malema calling for annihilation of white farmers, and that changed everything because everybody in the room was quite shocked because this was a surprise by President Donald Trump. He's never played any video like this to any white leader. But then when Cyril Ramaphosa got there, he played that clip and all hell broke loose. So, to that which they had on the other day, Cyril Ramaphosa and Donald Trump talked and they talked, but still it seemed no conclusive answer was coming out. Julius Malema has responded and he has a lot to say. First of all, he said, Cyril Ramaphosa is a coward. You don't have to go to America to start talking about insecurity that we have here. And he said, Donald Trump and Elon Musk are not welcomed in South Africa, and Starlink that Elon Musk thinks he can use to kind of woodwink South Africa will not have permit in South Africa if they don't allow 33% of it to be owned by South Africans. I wanted to watch this hot response that he gave. Then we shall be talking at the end. Let's watch.
Comrades, we must defend our country against imperialism. The only organization that is hated by imperialists is the EFF. I will never be intimidated by America. I will never be intimidated by Donald Trump. They were speaking about me in that meeting at White House. If they were not gossiping about me, they should have called me into that meeting. I would have answered everything that Donald Trump wanted from us. But ya transport ba ya kwa America ba yo bua ka nna sleghe. If they are not scared of me, call me into that meeting. That nonsense that Trump did in America, he will never do that nonsense in my presence, because I will confront him here and there with the facts. Ramaphosa could not present the facts in front of Donald Trump. You've got a coward president. He left here, Ariana, he won't be bullied. When he arrived there, he was shaking. Atatazela, Achaba Donald Trump, another president scared of another president. Donald Trump said to him, when you say farmers, you mean white people. He kept quiet. Farmers do not mean white people. They are black farmers, they are white farmers. Ramaphosa is a farmer himself. He should have said to Donald Trump, no, farmers are not white. I'm a farmer myself, I am not white. Why didn't he present that simple fact before Donald Trump? Why didn't he say, there are so many people killed in South Africa, and majority of them are blacks. There is no white genocide in South Africa. Bammonchatsila with crosses. He opens his eyes in shock. I know South Africa with my eyes closed. He's unable to tell Donald Trump That is not a picture of South Africa. This picture does not belong to us. We don't have mass graves of white people in South Africa. Comrades, Donald Trump says to him, hey Ramaphosa, Donald Trump says to him, hey Ramaphosa, why are you not arresting this Julius Malema? Why is this Julius Malema not in jail? He can't respond with a simple fact that this song killed the Boer, killed. He failed to defend the Constitutional Court. By failing to defend the Constitutional Court, it means he failed to protect the Constitution. And when you fail to protect the Constitution as a president of the country, you have failed in your primary duty of defending the sovereignty of South Africa. Ramaphosa is a failure, but you must understand one thing. When Trump says, why is this man not in jail? Why is this man not arrested? He simply means, why is this man not dead? Why are you not killing this man who wants to kill for white people? In that White House, my ticket was taken out. They called for my life with an attempt to silence me. They will never kill me again because where I am dead. Because black people are dead. Black people have got no dignity. Black people have got no human rights. Black people cannot determine their own destination. They are waiting on the white supremacists to tell them which direction to take. What is this life we are living of being cowards? I'm not going to be silenced by threat of violence. I'm not going to be silenced by threat of death. When you say don't jail him, Ramaphosa should have said, in South Africa we don't jail people like that. There are courts in South Africa, and the courts have said there is nothing wrong with this song. This is not my song. I did not compose this song. I found this song. The struggle heroes composed this song. All I'm doing is to defend the legacy of our struggle. This is a heritage of our struggle. This is the song that was sung by Peter Mokaba in the presence of Chris Hani, in the presence of Winnie Mandela. And therefore, I will never stop singing a song that Winnie Mandela sang before she died. That will be a betrayal to the struggle of our people. Comrades, when they say stop singing, kill the poor, kill the farmer, they are going to say to you, stop demanding the land. Because you are offending white people, don't talk about the land. When you stop the land, they say black people must go back to Bantu education. There must be African schools. When you say no, they say no, that is not allowed. Today, a tender is given in White House without advertisement, where Rupert stands up and says, why is Elon Musk, Starlink, not given an opportunity in South Africa? Elon Musk's business cannot come to South Africa if it's not compliant with 30% BEE. What he did, Ramaphosa, after they asked him that, the following day, they issue out that they want to relax the BEE deals so that this Starlink can come into South Africa. There is no such a law in South Africa. That Starlink will not come into South Africa if it's not compliant with the BEE. We are not saying 30% must go to one individual. That 30% must go to black people, as many as possible, because we want to benefit from our own economy. Comrades, we must never be dictated to by business. I long told you, South Africa, that we are captured by Ruperts, that our country is run by Ruperts. How can a minister of international relations sit in a meeting? oh Natsa Malema. Mara no is a good boy. He's a ubeta ke lekgowa ko leetle nna o ka se mpete lekgowa a ke re wena. What is your problem? The whole Minister of International Relations goes and sits in a meeting that deals with international issues outside the country and never uttered a word. But businessmen, the golf players are speaking, but you, the politician, who's supposed to speak on those matters, you are quiet. Why do you still want to earn a salary after being quiet? Why can't we give this salary to those white people? Because they are the ones who are speaking there. All white people who were in that house from South Africa, all of them spoke. All of them, including John Steenhuisen. What gave them the ticket to speak on behalf of our country? It was their color. Only the color of their skin is the one that gave them permission to speak at the White House. Lamula was there. Kumbuzo was even worse. So why should we allow that? Comrades, this country will never be free as long as Ward 16 does not have clean water.
Mr. Malema, you spoke a lot about your safety, especially given the utterances that were made by Mr. Trump. We see also an increased number of security. Are you really fearful for your life? And secondly, just to speak about how do those utterances by Mr. Trump, how do they affect the EFF, especially going into the local government elections?
Well, I'm not fearful. As a revolutionary, part of being killed is one of those honors you must wear with pride. But I'm not going to be reckless. When he says to Ramaphosa, why is this man not in jail? Why are you not arresting this man? He simply means, why are you not killing this man? Because this man wants to kill white people. That's what he believes. And imperialism, especially the USA, it makes such remarks meaning something different. If you remember how they killed Gaddafi, they said no-fly zone and any other necessary means in Libya. And that meant Gaddafi is going to be killed. And that's how they took care of that situation in Libya. So we know imperialism killed. The president of South Africa was unable to defend the constitution of South Africa to say, this thing that you are accusing him of and saying to us we must arrest him. Firstly, we are a constitutional democracy and we are governed by the rule of law. The judiciary has expressed itself on this matter, including the highest court in the land. If I arrest him for that, then I will be violating the constitution of South Africa, which I must respect. He failed to do that. So when a president fails to do that, you have a responsibility to defend yourself. And that's exactly what we're doing. The EFF is more powerful now. Everybody else, all of you, including Sam Kelo, you said EFF is dead, EFF is irrelevant, and all of that, only to find it in the Oval Offices and to find it in the White House. And for a USA president to argue with the South African president who's in denial, who says, this is just a small party, it's so insignificant. He says, that's not a small party. This party can gather 100,000 people under one roof in a stadium where I can't even see a single empty seat. You can't say that is a small party. We are not a small party. That's why imperialism is very scared of us.
Mr. Malema, how did you feel when you saw those videos of yourself being beamed at the Oval Office with President Ramaphosa, particularly noting the historical nature of Kill the Poor, Kill the Farmer song with the Constitutional Court judgment?
Well, I was not shocked necessarily. I knew that issue is going to arise, but that they will play videos. I was not sure. I didn't know all of that, but I knew that matter was going to arise. And I was very interested to hear how the president is going to defend the struggle song that the ANC has defended throughout the history of that song. He couldn't defend the song as a heritage. He couldn't defend the song as a struggle song. He couldn't explain the song that it doesn't in any means necessarily refer to literal killing of white people. It was used in reference to a white supremacist system of oppression in South Africa. He couldn't do that because he himself never believed in the struggle. And that was justified when he couldn't defend the struggle right at the White House. So we know for a fact that he threw the Constitutional Court under the bus. He threw the Constitution under the bus. He was not loyal to his oath of office to defend the Constitution of South Africa, where he should have pronounced that the highest court has ruled on the matter. I can't arrest him. Even if I wanted to, I have no powers. There is a rule of law in South Africa that needs to be followed. But they all understood the language, that the language is not arrest, it's killing. Yep. Why are you not killing him? Because he's going to kill white people. That's what he wanted to project, but he was not courageous enough. You have the whole former deputy president of the Youth League who sang this song, sitting there, not saying anything. The whole minister of public relations, Kumbuzo Nchabeni, I was with her in the Youth League. She was the youngest in Peter Mukaba's NEC of the ANC Youth League. She knows the history of this song. She's sitting there very scared. All of them shaking. The president himself shaking. Only 4 white Afrikaner males were confident. It was Rupert, the 2 golfers, and Steenhuisen. Why do you give Steenhuisen to speak in such a meeting and not give a minister of international relations? That department has been juniorized and is being undermined as a result. And that's what I asked him in Parliament, that have you juniorized this ministry? Are you playing with this important ministry? And we saw agriculture, a minister being promoted against the Minister of International Relations. Reason being the color of his skin more than anything else.
Have you engaged with any of the members of that particular delegation since that interaction at the Oval Office, like Kumbuzo Nchabeni and Ronald Lamula?
No, I've not done that. I have no duty to do that. I have no relationship with them like that. So, but I will raise it in Parliament. When the president comes for questions, we'll sharply raise this matter, and I will sharply raise the matter where he failed to defend the struggle and the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa.
Diplomatically, don't you feel as if the president was on the right footing not to engage President Trump and to present facts to him, because that wouldn't have changed the thinking of the US president?
So to engage in a diplomatic engagement which doesn't present the facts is falsehood. It's not diplomacy. Diplomacy, you say, with due respect, Mr. President, so many people are being killed in South Africa, and of this number, so many are blacks, so many are white. Majority of people being killed are black. And you do that in the best way you can. Ramaphosa can do that. He's got the temperament to can do that. I can do that. I can't do that. I'm going to be very aggressive, and that means in one way. So Ramaphosa should have presented the facts. Look, he goes to Oval Office 2 days or a day after they released the crime stats, which means Ramaphosa was sitting there knowing the crime stats in South Africa. He still doesn't say, but this is not a true reflection. And then, what kind of diplomacy? Some kind is this one where you are shown a picture of another country and they say it's your country, and you are saying, no, if I clarify, it's going to be offensive diplomatically. Those are facts. Diplomacy never meant that. The truth must not be told, facts must not be put on the table. Anyone who has not made a follow-up after that press conference, they will never know that there are no mass graves of white people in South Africa. Our president was there. He has to be. The Minister of Intelligence, Kumbuzo Nchabeni, was there. She's got all the intelligence information they required. That's why she was there, to say there are no mass graves of white people. There is no genocide. Even this video you are showing me is not South Africa. Because I asked a question. Oh, is this South Africa? Where's this? I don't know, but you must outrightly say, no, it's not South Africa. Because South Africa has got no place for mass graves of white people, and there's no genocide. But that is not the issue. We all know what the issue is. The issue is Israel. The issue is to push back South Africa on Israel, on Russia. The issue is to impose Starlink without following the necessary empowerment laws of South Africa. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Wow. So Julius Malema's speech on May 25th, 2025, delivered in response to President Cyril Ramaphosa's contentious meeting with US President Donald Trump, was a forceful denunciation of what Malema termed as America's imperialism and a defense of South Africa's sovereignty and land reform agenda. Malema, the leader of EFF, criticized the US for using economic measures such as cutting aid to coerce South Africa into abandoning its support for Palestine and its domestic land policies. He argued that these actions were not genuine concerns for human rights, but were strategic moves to maintain US dominance and suppress nations that challenge its global agenda. Central to Malema's address was the assertion that the US was exploiting unsubstantiated claim of a white genocide in South Africa to justify its interference. He dismissed these allegations as fabrications aimed at undermining South Africa's land reform efforts, which seek to address historical injustices through expropriation without compensation. Malema emphasized that the US, with its vast intelligence capability, was fully aware of the realities in the ground and was deliberately spreading misinformation to destabilize the country. Malema also took issue with President Ramaphosa's approach to the situation, accusing him of being overly conciliatory towards Western powers. He criticized Ramaphosa for attempting to placate the US by explaining South Africa's land policies, arguing that such efforts were futile against a superpower intent on preserving its interest. Malema called for a more assertive stance, urging the government to resist external pressure and to proceed boldly with land reforms. In a speech, Malema advocated for a strategic pivot away from reliance on Western nations, proposing the South Africa strengthen its economic and political ties with BRICS countries and other nations that respect its sovereignty. He portrayed the US as a declining imperial power and emphasized the importance of building alliances that support South Africa's autonomy and development goals. Overall, Malema's speech was a call to action for South Africa to assert its independence and to resist what he perceives as neocolonial tactics employed by the US. He framed the current tensions as a continuation of historical struggles against oppression, urging the nation to remain steadfast in its pursuit of justice and equality, particularly in the realm of land redistribution. His address underscored a broader narrative of resistance against external domination and a commitment to transformative policies that address the legacies of apartheid and colonialism. I think you have it there. It is quite explanatory for you to see. And if you have followed Malema, you understand his politics and how he's always very abrasive and straight to the point. He doesn't want anybody to play with South Africa, and he says he will not allow anyone to take advantage of South Africa or South Africans for that matter. So that is it from us today. If you're watching us for the first time, please consider subscribing to the channel. You can also join the membership to get access to exclusive content tailored just for you. Thank you, and let's meet on the next one. Goodbye.